Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Between the Lines. I'm John Lofton. A little, as you might be able to tell from the title, suggestion, a little worse for the wear, but all in all, I'm doing great. And I even managed to get to church this morning. I was a little surprised at myself for even being able to do that much. And so I'm just happy to be here with you guys. And if I sound not quite as energetic as I usually do, I apologize. It's because I've had major surgery less than a week ago. But I'm excited, and I think the adrenaline here will just kind of keep me going forward. Oh man, it's just been a week, hasn't it? Wow, where to begin? So yeah, 2 kidney offers in 1 week, and I'd only been on the transplant list for less than a week before I even got the first one, and then even the second one was right at a week. I don't understand how this works if you're not a believer. Because if you're a believer, you understand, like, no big deal. God's just working here, right? If you're not a believer, you're like, what? I know all things happen for a reason, and I am beyond thrilled to have received a kidney in general. Whether it was 1 offer, 2 offers, or even if I waited a year even to get even 1 offer, I would have been happy. I really would have. The average wait time on the list that I was on is between 12 and 18 months. And so we're going to go through all over this, and I'm just going to try to unpack this. The show probably will not be 30 minutes, and I apologize. We are starting about 7 minutes late here than I usually would. But I just wanted to make sure everything was like set up perfect, good. Trying some things with scheduling live posts instead of just going live, and so that's kind of what I was working on here for a minute or two. But other than that, if worst case scenario happens today and I have to run and go to the bathroom because nature calls, I hope you guys understand. If I back off the mic for a second because you see me in like wince and pain, it's because I still have cramps and it still hurts. But we're going to get through it. And like I said, I wanted to do the show today because I'm so blessed to be able to get to tell you guys this insane story that I feel like I won the lottery. If that lottery were kidney transplants. And I'm sure a lot of people kind of think that, and it's true. I just don't understand, why God would have so much favor on me to want to have a kidney this soon. But we're going to digest what happened this week, and we're going to try to give you guys a snippet of what it was like for me this whole week. When I could, I took videos and photos, so we're going to show some of those. And then I'm just going to talk about a little bit of the donor, what the little bit I know about the donor anyway at this point, what my plans are with that, and yeah, the thoughts going around in my mind around receiving a kidney from somebody like that, and the support I've gotten from our church and our family and all that. I'm gonna just kind of unpack it all, and I'm gonna have a lot of thank yous throughout this video. And that was the biggest thing too, is I want to make a video where I could at least say thank you. If you're watching this and you haven't done anything else, but you're watching this because you're curious about kidney disease, or you're curious about kidney transplant and wanting to have some hope maybe for you or a loved one who is struggling with kidney disease or kidney failure, I hope that this video will give you some hope and inspiration to keep fighting. I know that what happened to me is extraordinary. But all things are possible through Christ. And if you believe that, then what happened to me could happen to you too. It really could. Certainly didn't expect it. And that's about all I can say about it. I don't feel deserving of it. I'm a humble person. I try to be anyway. And it's just, I expected to be waiting so much longer. It's like coming in first place in a race when you've never won first place in your life. It's kind of how it feels. But anyway, all right. So we're going to go ahead and unpack this whole thing. Okay, so let's start with the basics. If you watched last week's episode, then you know that I have Alport syndrome. I encourage you to go back and watch that because I talked about getting the first offer um, and rejecting it because I was nervous about our finances with my wife and I and our work. I was nervous about just the pain of it all. I was nervous about the support system because, again, only been on the list for a week and it didn't feel right. Now, that kidney was a 50 to 60-year-old person who had a history of hypertension, and that's all I know. But their kidney still seemed good. But I rejected the offer, and I fully expected then at that point that it might be longer than a year before I would ever hear anything else. I thought I might have royally ticked some people off at the transplant list by rejecting the kidney. It just didn't feel right to me, though. It's not that I wasn't grateful for the kidney offer. I'm just not sure that I was ready yet with everything. And you got to understand too, and I believe I touched on this in my last week's video. If you're getting ready for something and you know it's life changing, and there's things that you know you're supposed to do to plan for it, and you feel like you've got a timeline for what the average is, you feel like, okay, I can plan this out. I know how I want this to be. And then sometimes when that plan just gets blown up and everything happens right then and there, it really can take you off, by surprise. So anyway, that's kind of what happened here. So, all right. So we're going to kind of keep going here. All right, cool. I'm just making sure we're good on Facebook here. And yeah, feel free to live chat with any questions that you have. I will definitely try to answer as many in the comments here as I can. This video should be on my YouTube page and Facebook profile as well. I'm going to verify that here just real quick because I realized that I usually have a few more people on here than what is on here now. Like I said, I am trying something different this week. So bear with me here. I'm just doing this. I don't have a producer this week. She is upstairs taking care of our toddler who has been a little needy for the attention lately. But anyway, okay, cool. So yes, it does appear that I am live now. Cool. And you guys should be able to see it on my Facebook. Wonderful. Okay. And yeah, let me know if you have any audio issues or anything like that in the comments as well. And I will certainly try to address anything. All right. So, yeah. So Saturday happened and I was like, okay, bummer, let down. I kind of feel like I let some other people down, but I was willing to pick myself up and just wait. Just wait. I knew I had good kidney function. Well, not good. Obviously, I was on the transplant list. But, I mean, all things considered, with what we call a GFR of 18 or so, it wasn't terrible. There are people who don't even start dialysis until they have like less than 10 GFR, which GFR is glomerular filtration rate. And essentially, that's a measurement. A lot of people think of it as a percentage. It's not really what it is, but when you're explaining to somebody who doesn't have any experience at all with kidney function, a lot of times we use that as a measurement of percentage of kidney function, because 100 would be excellent, good. Actually, in fact, when you're born, I think it's like 120 is your GFR at birth or something like that. I could be wrong. Please don't quote me. Okay. All right. But yeah, it just blew my mind. So I had a GFR of 18. I was still making urine. I was still doing that. It sucked. I was still good on dialysis. Wasn't having any complications from peritoneal dialysis or anything like that. But I did want the kidney. I wanted to feel better. So Sunday came around, explained to everybody at church what happened. Sometimes it feels like a broken record when you have a lot of people ask you a lot of the same questions. So again, that's why I like doing these videos, because I can, in some cases, be like, hey, I made a cool video about this. Please watch. All right. So Sunday came around. I'm explaining to everybody what happened, and nobody was really upset. It seemed a little uneasy to me at the time, because I think people were surprised that I would reject a kidney, or that anybody would reject a kidney, and they understood the reasons. It's just a lot of people were telling me, like, if it's money, why would you reject a kidney over money? Um, and I'm just like, because I gotta live. Like, I got 4 to 6 weeks that I gotta be off work because I can barely lift the cat right now. Um, I don't know. I was thinking of, but I was thinking in my mind, like, I'm gonna be missing a lot of time, and I do have a family. And like I said, if you can plan something, you kind of want it to happen in a certain scope, right? And well, my plan and God's plan clearly were not aligning very well, and God made sure I knew about that too. But yeah, it was interesting. And then, Monday morning came around. I'm explaining to people at work too, what was going on, and kind of cutting to the chase here because there's a lot to get to today. So at 8:27 a.m., I knew that I'm gonna probably need to talk with the transplant center anyway that day because of what happened Saturday. Because on Saturday I went at going to the hospital like at 5 in the morning, and that was a really bad day because my IBS was flaring, and I just felt terrible in general. Maybe that was part of the decision too. I was like, I don't know if I want surgery today. And I know, and this sounds crazy. Like, why am I being picky about when I have kidney transplant surgery? It just, I don't know. In my mind, at least, it made sense at the time. But anyway, so about 8:27, I'm doing a cut in. I'm on the floor, at the TV station I work at, and I'm camera hopping and whatever. I'm talking to one of our talent. Our talent is really, he's a brilliant man, and if it wasn't for the fact of disclosures and stuff like that, and I really want to keep this whole thing in my life separate from my work, I would tell you guys a little bit more about that. But long story short, he was really excited, for the opportunity, and he follows me on Facebook too, and yeah, and I and we got to that 27 cut in, and not 15 seconds, I think, before we went black and that cut in, I felt my phone vibrate, and I'm like, okay, I know it's not my wife because she's not waking up early right now. It's probably the transplant center, but I don't know. For some reason, I got excited because I thought, one thought was, if it's the transplant center, they're probably calling to discuss some things with me about Saturday. Or number two, this couldn't be a kidney offer, could it? And it was the transplant coordinator. I saw it. I saw Iowa Methodist. I had their phone number saved in my phone. And I got so excited. I don't know why. I just instinctively kind of knew this was a good call for some reason. Even though I probably shouldn't have expected it. And right as soon as we went black on that cut in, I was like, I know I got to answer this. So I pulled out. I saw, and I ran out to the desk, to the anchor desk, and I was like, look, they're calling me. He's like, really? Like, yeah. So then I run out of the studio because I get nothing for reception in that studio. I'm surprised sometimes they even get calls or anything in there, because cell reception inside of a TV studio is like zilch. I don't know. Maybe there's a big antenna on top of there blocking all your signal, or I'm inside of a concrete building, basically. I don't know. But either way, hardly ever get signal. So I pick it up, I run out to the hall where we get a little bit better signal, and it was the transplant coordinator. And of course, she didn't initially start off by like talking about an offer or anything like that. The conversation didn't start like it did on Saturday. It started off with, hey, I heard about what happened Saturday. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay. And I explained to her what happened, and I told her, I said, but since then, I've had a couple new things come up, talking to people, and we received a lot of support in our church and our family and stuff. And everybody's telling me, whenever you have your kidney, if you have issues with the money part, you just, let them know. And I felt better about it. Not that I want the help or want extra financial help or anything. I'd rather have had time to properly save up, a couple $1,000s or something like that. I would rather have had that time, that year, to save. plan, right? Um, and but everybody was encouraging me on last Sunday, to just not reject a kidney because of financial situation, that the church and all that would come together to help us. Really did not expect to happen so soon. Have to take people up on that offer. But I told her, I said, and I feel better about it now, though. And she's like, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I have a kidney for you. What? Oh, that hurt too. What? Like, yep, we have a kidney offer for you. 8:30 in the morning. And she goes, I can only tell you that it's coming from a 10 to 20-year-old male who has a history of brain cancer. And that the only complication with this particular kidney is if there's a 1% chance that this type of brain cancer could be transmits through the blood and ultimately, through your kidney. And so I suppose there is a 1% chance that I could develop brain cancer, now. So as you know, I accepted this offer. And this time when I said it, I was like, I'm going to do this. God's going to help us. I know the church will support us. I got to do it. It already hit me like I can't say no twice. And especially not that I'm going to be careful how I say this next sentence. On paper, having a kidney from somebody who is at least 12 years younger than me is a good proposition, because that means you get a very young and healthy kidney. My dad, as you guys might remember, had his kidney transplant from a 19-year-old when he was 34, 36. I can't remember. It was in 96. I need to know that. And so I knew that this was a good offer. A 1% chance of getting this, not insignificant, but like I said, the J&J vaccine has a 1% chance of blood clots, and they're still recommending it for people and encouraging it. So, I guess I just thought about it like that. And so I did it. So I ran around and and for once my boss was actually happy to be like, okay, go, just get out of here. And so I left, and we dropped Junior off again at the sitters, and I tried to reassure them that I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go through with this. I'm going to do it. And I kind of had an idea what to expect now too, because I'd already kind of been through it. I know what it's a little tiny bit of what it was like Saturday, of the testing and all that. And so we left and we went to the hospital. They got me checked in right away. And got to my room. I found out that it was likely that my surgery was going to happen in a very unique way, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. And I might even pull up a picture while I'm thinking about it too of that. Actually, I don't think I can. Actually, I can. I'm only going to show this next picture too eventually out of just like a reference. And I'm going to see if it'll let me pull it up. And I'll go ahead, I guess while I'm talking about it, I got you guys all excited about it. I'll go ahead and say it now. I was, as far as I know, from talking to the doctors and the nurses there, I was only like the second patient to have a kidney transplant done robotically at this particular transplant center. And so I'm going to find the good picture that looks like the machine I remember seeing. And I hope this won't gross out too many people. But I feel like this will help out a lot. I'm going to be a little careful too. Let's switch this screen over. Sorry, this kind of impromptu sort of switching. Yeah, let's go ahead and go to this. So that machine there is basically what the machine I saw in the OR looked like, robotically. And I won't stay on this too long because some people get grossed out at medical procedures and stuff like that. But that's essentially what it looked like for me in the OR, the machine doing my surgery. So yeah, it was definitely a very interesting experience, and I'll talk more about that here in a minute. So they get me registered, get up to my room, and of course we start all the testing. They test you for every disease I feel like known to man that's ever going to be transmissible, from hepatitis to HIV to there's a childhood disease too, like ESV or something like that. But yeah, they test for everything. They're testing your blood. They test everything. The same thing that they do basically for your evaluation, they test again. And those tests take a while. And then they take a cross match. And see, on up to this point, the kidney donor and I match virtually. So there's the markers and everything, and they put them all together in a computer, and it says this is a match or this is not a match. And so at this point, we're going on the presumption that I've only had one or two actual tests come back for my cross matching, because I'd only been on the list 2 times or for a week. And so I did one during the evaluation, and then I just had submitted one a few days earlier via the mail. They have these like tubes, you draw them at your dialysis center, and then they mail them off for you. And so that was all we really had. So when you do that, they still have to physically test the tissues and the blood and all that from the actual kidney to you, and that takes a while. And that's what I thought was taking the most time. And so we get there. I guess we got to the hospital a little after 11, and we waited, and of course they asked me had I had anything to eat or drink. Oddly enough, I hadn't. Not very much, like a little bit of water. But I got out of bed late on Monday anyway to get to work, so I really didn't have a chance to eat or drink anything. Good for me, I guess, right? Well, kind of bad in a way, because we waited, and we waited. And I'm going to show you, I was going to show you guys one of the live video, the initial live video reaction, but I think you guys got to get my idea because I'm still a jock over it. But I am going to show you the one video I made from the hospital bed the afternoon prior to the transplant. So I'm going to show you guys that now, and then I got more videos to show you here later on as well. So let me go ahead and pull this up here. Stand by, folks. Yeah, here we go. This is the video I want to show you guys first. Hey everybody, just wanted to say thanks again for praying for me. No, I have not had the surgery yet. I'd have a lot more stuff coming out of me, and I wouldn't be as lucid as I am now. But I just want to say thank you to everybody for their prayers from all over. It's just a waiting game. As far as I know, I was a good virtual match. I haven't heard on the actual physical tissue matching yet, though. And they're just waiting, last I heard, on a surgery time for me. So, I will say, this hospital doesn't completely stink as far as, like, the room and all that. Just kind of taking a peek. Look at that. I actually have a decent view of the skyline here in Des Moines, looking out west, southwest, towards the airport. I'm gonna do it. That's Raven. She's still here, and we're waiting. Oh yeah, you guys didn't see the sign. So you probably can't read it, but, and I doubt it'll let me zoom in. Yeah. Oh, wait, it does. Look at that. That's fancy. But it says patients only need to wear a mask when we're outside of the room. Caregivers and staff have to wear one at all times. So, in case you're wondering what the mask policy is in a hospital, at least on my floor and all that stuff, that's what it is. But still waiting on a surgery time. 2 IVs in. The one here on my forearm, that's a pain. I like the one they did over here, on this arm.
Well, that one's painful going in.
That one hurt. That one felt like she was stabbing right into my bone, which was... It was enough that it did one of those pain moments when you're in pain, you raise your leg up really high, and you're like, this hurts! And you like raise your leg up. Yeah, it was one of those moments for me. I didn't cry, I promise. I cried a little when they did the COVID swab. I have to thank them for the decongestant. But they said, actually, speaking of decongestants, so when I go down there, I'll get a dose of heparin and a dose of Benadryl.
And Tylenol.
And Tylenol. Oh, yeah, and Tylenol, that's right. I'm not really sure what good the Tylenol is going to do me.
Probably take the edge off.
What edge? I don't know. I mean, I get, like, you've heard the aspirin thing, like the baby aspirin for heart patients, like going right into surgery, but I've never heard of just like, hey, we're just going to give you a Tylenol randomly here. I don't know, but anyway, that's the latest. One other thing I was going to show you guys that I was so grateful, and it's the best thing I ever bought on Amazon probably, is this blanket. It is an electric fleece blanket, and it gets warm, really warm, and it's very comfy. But anyway, I don't want to go on and on about all that. Like, most of the stuff's pretty boring.
About you.
I know, they want to hear about the kidney and all that. I wish I could tell you more, but I know people are going to start wondering, like, if I've had the surgery, how the surgery went, and the truth is, hasn't happened yet. I'm just waiting. The visitation is still pretty strict. Raven can come and go pretty much as she please, but she can be the only visitor for the day. So you can only have one unique visitor every day. So as much as I would like to have someone from the church come up or something like that,
Wait till you're home.
probably best to wait till I'm home. But I know all the prayers are coming anyway, and I've been trying my best to read all the comments, especially since I've got time now just waiting. So anyway, just made this real quick video for you guys, and want to let you know that nothing's really... I'm still waiting. So all I know is the kidney's here. They were studying the anatomy in the OR earlier, figure out the best plan. I know that most likely my surgery will happen robotically. That will make the incisions much smaller and also allow for a faster recovery because there's less muscle and tissue that has to be cut open. But it'll still be major surgery. If I'm not in this ward right here, I'll be in the ICU for a little while after the surgery. Just depends on staff, is what they told me. But either way, there's one nurse assigned to the room, and that's it. So when I come out, it'll be one nurse to one patient ratio, because there's obviously some significant risks of bleeding and other complications with the medications and stuff like that, because nobody really knows exactly how I'm going to react to all this stuff, and until it actually happens. So best of luck there. My dad said when he had his kidney transplant, like, he didn't have hardly any reactions to the medications at all. There is one medication they're going to give me, I know, before the surgery, once they have my OR slot and everything's like done, because I've already done my consents and my releases and all that, which actually wasn't that bad for a surgery like this. You might think there'd be a lot of like liability stuff. No, like 2 or 3 signatures, that was it. Very short stack of papers to go through. So do you remember the name of the med they were going to give me, honey? FAMMAP or something like that. I can't think of it.
Something.
Yeah, something to that effect. And it basically, within one IV shot of it, basically wipes out your immune system. The interesting thing about it, though, is It's not FDA approved, so it's very much still kind of like experimental. But this hospital uses it because they've had a lot of good success with patients who take this medication right before surgery. So, but yeah, it's a very specialized medication specifically for this. So, um, they tell me there's no side effects with that medication though. Like, so just go in and I won't feel anything. So, let's hope that's true. And let's hope the Benadryl just knocks me out, right? Unless you guys have any questions, I'll jump off this live chat here. But all right, yeah. So, and I'm probably gonna play every bit of every video that I ever took. So, but that was the big one too because I got to talk to you guys a little bit about the medication, a little bit about the prep, and all of those things. And so, yeah, it was a waiting game. It felt like a waiting game there. Um, and I don't know why you get so excited. One thought I had was, oh, is this kidney still gonna be good? Like I even literally Googled how long is a kidney good for, after death and said 24 to 36 hours. What I didn't know is that they were pumping special solution through this kidney to keep it going. Didn't know that for a while, but yeah, it was really interesting to know that. So that kidney was plenty fine by the time I got it. I ended up going to the OR that night. I think a little before 8 o'clock Central, and I don't think I came out until after 1. As about as I don't really remember coming out of that. I don't remember much until the next morning, to be honest. That's about it. I know the tube they put in your throat to breathe. That was one of the first things you notice. Obviously, coming out, and it's like, you know, um, and even now, even almost a week later, I can kind of still feel it. It's not nearly as unpleasant as it was at first, but you still kind of feel it in your throat, way down, in here. But I'm sure that's the least of my problems right now. Like that's the least. But anyway, yeah, I'm just I was grateful. I got to go in there. I saw this robotic arm, and it looked like a giant spider. And that's kind of the picture I was showing you guys earlier. It was really interesting to get to see it. Um, and even the nurses were telling me that it freaks them out sometimes because they have this like attack mode that this thing goes into when they bring it over and it moves itself over the patient. And even then, sometimes they kind of back up, they say a little bit because it still freaks them out a little bit. Um, but once it's in and doing its thing, it's pretty cool. And so isn't that amazing what medical technology has come along to be able to do? I mean, this time last week, I was sitting here talking to you guys, rejecting kidney, feeling a little down, a little uptight. And now a week later, after having the surgery, I'm talking to you in almost the same tone that I would be normally. Now I'm leaning back on my chair because, I'm not gonna lie, that still hurts. It still does bother me. And a few days ago, I literally thought I might die because one of my the drain tube that I still have inked out, and I'll talk about that here as we go on. But I've had some complications. It wasn't all rainbows and butterflies. But I am happy to say, at least as of this video talking to you guys, I'm not on any pain meds right now. Nope, not even anything, not even a Tylenol. So, and I'm managing. It hurts, but I'm managing. I'd rather be off the pain meds as soon as possible anyway. But yeah, it was just really interesting. So, we come out the morning of, and I'm kind of getting anxious to sit up and all that because I'm not feeling any pain. What I don't realize is then I'm not feeling pain because they gave me a bunch of narcotics. Right as rain when you're on narcotics, right? Pain meds and all that. But yeah, so here's the video of me waking up in the ICU, and it turns out I probably needed to be in the ICU. I think there was some concerns with my hemoglobin and bleeding and heart rate and blood pressure and all that. So I think they kept me in there not only because of staffing, which they were low on staffing, but I want to say too that one of the physicians was kind of concerned about that. So I'll talk about that, I think, here a little bit in this video here. Good morning, everybody. It's Odie. I am going on right now my first
full day post-transplant, and well, the robot did its job, and I have only one bigger scar and then a few little scars in my stomach area right around my belly button line. So I'm doing well. I'm still in pain, but I'm definitely doing better than I thought I would be, honestly. And today's the first day I get to have food. So they're starting me out small, some eggs and some oatmeal, but I've gone over a day without any food so far, so I'm really happy about that. And looking forward to hopefully getting to go on the kidney ward and getting out of intensive care. So I still got some drainage tubes coming out, or at least one drainage tube coming out of my stomach and a catheter, so gotta deal with that. But the idea is that the blood coming out would be less and less as the time goes on. The doctor seems happy with my labs so far. There's no sign of any kind of rejection or anything like that. Around 9 a.m. this morning, I'll get to start some medications and some steroids. So, all designed to keep my body from rejecting the new kidney. And some antiviral medications that I'm already going to be taking. So far, just hydrocodone seems to be doing enough to curb the pain, but I'm sitting up. I mean, I'm not just lying in bed, and they're going to get me up here and get me to start walking a little bit. And so, hopefully all that goes well. But I just wanted to get on here and let everybody know, because I know there's been literally thousands of people now who've been, supporting and all that. So, I just have been overwhelmed by it and want to thank everybody. And I'm going to get stronger. I have faith that this is going to work. This is what God has planned for me. So, trying to stay positive about the whole thing. If anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to keep leaving them on this video. But
yeah, so I mean, that was
get on here and just let everybody know.
There we go. Sorry, thought I had paused that. But yeah, it was one of those things. Like, I had already, if there was one time in my life when I, why did it have to be the kidney thing when I would go viral for something, right? Why? I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, I had hundreds, if not thousands, of people between support groups that I'm a part of on Facebook and my personal page and just everybody that I've ran in contact to. And so I really cannot say thank you enough to everybody who prayed and was supportive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was definitely those prayers, I think, that helped, obviously, in this situation. So, but yeah, no, I did have a little bit of fentanyl there too. So it wasn't just hydrocodone. I think there was some fentanyl in there too. But no, I'm glad to be off all that. And that night, my blood pressure tanked like really low, and they were just about to send me back to the ICU, actually, at like 2 a.m. And I was like, no, I really don't want to do this. Like, well, we have to. It's our protocol. It's our procedure. And I was like, no, my blood pressure gets low at night anyway. And the surgeon, on-call surgeon, came in, and I talked to him. I said, no, I feel fine. I'm not dizzy. I feel okay. Just leave me be. And he was like, okay, we'll leave you be. I was not about to go back to the ICU. But yeah, let me see if I can show you this. Mostly because there's just too many more machines in the ICU. If you guys have ever been in an ICU before, way too many machines for the comfort level of most people. And when the first time I got out of bed and sat in a chair and I looked up, because from your bed in the ICU, you can't really see them all. But here we go. Let's do this one. I'm going to show you guys a couple pictures here real quick. So this is me just waking up. Literally, the lights are still off, and I was like, I'm awake. I don't know why I took a selfie with me smiling with an O2 thing on me, but I just I was happy. I was awake. Um, whoops. I was awake and I was just yeah happy to be awake. You know. Let me see here if I can. Here we go. So this is one of the first ones. I'm sitting up, and in case you're wondering, yes, that is a tuna sandwich. I don't know why I wanted tuna that day. I knew I wanted something easy to digest. That seemed like the easiest, but it was the best for especially even hospital food. It was the best tuna fish sandwich I've ever had in my life. It was very good. But yeah, you can see the pumps and all that, and yep, that was the truckload of medications coming in. Most of them I didn't really feel that day. I still had quite a bit of meds in me, but I was grateful just to be even sitting up in a chair like the day after surgery, and all of that. I was elated just to be sitting up and like feeling okay. Like the pain wise and all that. I realized I was on pain meds, and all that, but it felt good. I had an expectation that I would feel a lot worse after the surgery than I did. And I'm I guess I'm grateful for that too. Now the days after that started to feel worse than that day, but I was just happy to wake up from the surgery and not feel like in complete agony or feel like I'm completely different than I was before the surgery. You know, so that was kind of my interesting thing. And even then, this is just getting out of the ICU that evening and me walking the first time. And yes, it is true. My dad warned me about this. But the very first time they have you get up out of bed and start walking, it hurts. No two ways about it. It's like getting gut punched and your gut ripped open at the exact same time. Like someone's punching you and ripping your gut open at the same time. That's basically what it feels like. But once you're up and all that, it's really actually not bad. Walking doesn't hurt. Sitting up from a lying down position and then going from a sitting position to standing and then back to those positions, that's what hurts. That's honestly because all those core muscles in your abdomen are all there. Oops, went too far. Not ready for that one yet, but y'all will see that in a second. But yeah, it was good just to be able to get up. And if you ever want to get me out of a hospital, just put me in one. And I promise you in a few days, I will want out. I don't like hospitals. I don't think anybody does. And I was telling her, she's like, oh, you'd be surprised. I don't want to be in a hospital any longer than I had to be. So I was like, they had a tentative date of Thursday. Then they started talking about Friday. I'm like, nope, we're doing this Friday or Thursday. I'm not staying here a day longer than I need to. Not happening. No way, no. But yeah, and so I was just I was happy to be walking, and I knew the more that I walked, the more water I drank, all of that, the better I would feel. And the sooner that I could get out. So whether they wanted me to wait. So that was the other thing here is they wanted me to wait for one of the CNAs to come in and help always with me. Especially while I was hooked up to an IV, and I kind of didn't really listen to that towards the end. And they eventually said, okay, can you at least just write it down on the board when you get up? Because I didn't want to wait. Like, and especially like something else that bothered me. Like the TV remote got put on one of the trays, the sliding bed trays that they give you. And I wasn't going to call somebody, even though it hurt to go get it. I was like, I'm going to get this thing. So I'd slide over and I'd get it myself. That's kind of the attitude I have, and I don't want to be anywhere where, I need to rely on somebody else like that. So the sooner I can get out, the better. Yeah. So let's see. The next video I think I'm going to show you guys is me walking the very first time. Kind of going along with that same picture that I was just showing you guys here. So We'll play this. This time I did have a CNA with me, um, and but it was interesting. And they're all worried about me being dizzy and all that. You'll hear that in the video. And honestly, nope, just pain and sore.
You're not feeling dizzy, are you?
No, I'm not dizzy at all. So tired, babe. My two descriptive words that I would use.
All right. And so, yeah, just those first few steps. I think that first walk, I don't think I made it past. Here, I'll cut back over here just because I got to pause now. Do you guys see the sign on the ceiling? I don't think I made it too far past that before I was like, I'm going to turn around. But then, of course, every time after that, I got up and walk. I was like, I'm going to go further. And before I knew it, I was making entire laps around the, the kidney ward. And I felt good. Again, walking's not hard. Sitting, standing, and going into those positions, laying down, all that, that's hard. So, but yeah, it was just one of those things. I was self-motivated to get out as quick as I could. And I started to have this belief that, if I don't change things in my life too, as far as health and getting up and exercise more and walking around, then part of that 13-year-old kid who died in vain. Or, I don't know how the kid exactly was. But I gotta believe that this 10 to 20-year-old, however old this kid was who died from brain cancer, I gotta believe that if I don't take care of this, then part of their death might have been in vain. And it feels like a huge responsibility and blessing, because people really should be taking care of themselves anyway, but it just, you don't want to let anything down. Like, you can't take this for granted. So whether I have to drink 3.5 liters of water a day, walk a mile every day, something, quit my caffeine addiction, which, by the way, to this date, I have now gone a full week without any caffeine or sugar. And I'd like to tell you I feel different, but it's really hard to compare how I would feel if I hadn't had surgery going a week without caffeine and sugar compared to how I feel now, because they actually told me in the hospital too, because I was talking to them about that, and they said, well, probably the pain medicine is kind of kicking those withdrawal headaches that people get down, and obviously all the other stuff we're giving you too kind of messes with all that too. But it might be an opportunity, because we are getting you through the withdrawal, to change your habits and not drink so much pop and soda. And I guess I kind of feel like that too. But yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and go to the next one here, because I'm going to kind of lose my thought here. All right, so this is one I'm talking and getting to talk about going home, and I'm really excited about that. And yeah, it's I was really happy in this one. I have a little bit of an attitude because I'm still in pain, but I'm also really happy. Like, I don't know how to describe that personality, so just fair warning on this one. And Raven's taking a video of me too, and I don't know, I'm just being a smart aleck. But anyway, so there's a little bit on this one.
You're recording right now?
I'm just walking.
He is walking.
So we're gonna walk and talk. Looks like
Yeah.
I get to go home in the morning. And I'm very excited about that. And
This is not easy, walking backwards.
no, I'm just happy I get to go home. I'm walking, and I feel pretty good.
just some normal issues you have after surgery like this. I get to go home with the drain tube in. But otherwise, I'm doing good. This morning I started out with a walker, then I went to just holding on to an IV pole. Now, I'm just walking on my own. Pain's under control. I'm not on any more heavy pain pills. Just on some tramadol. That's it.
Yeah, and don't mind the bag I'm holding. It's not important. But that got to come out too. I just I didn't mention that in the video, but that's out. I was bound and determined for that bag to go away. If you're a guy, you'll like know exactly what I'm talking about. Why? I mean, girls too. I have no relational concept of what that must be like for you guys. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. But anyway, but yeah, I was bound and determined, and so the way that they measured that was when you first go to the bathroom. I'm gonna start, and this section of the video is gonna get a little gross. So if you are squeamish about medical or fluid talk, maybe come back in about 5 minutes. Drop off and come back about 5 minutes, because I don't really have a good way to describe this other than some of the medical things. And for those who are really interested, especially those who are about to go through the kidney transplant process, it probably would be helpful if you had an idea of some of the stuff that, well, while unpleasant, is absolutely a part of the process. So they attach your kidney directly to the bladder, and they do it with a plastic stent that connects everything. And that stent will come out in about 3 or 4 weeks. But the first time you pee, it feels weird. That's the best way I could tell you. It feels weird. The urge to pee feels different. It doesn't quite feel like it used to. And then also I pee more often now, because I didn't realize how little urine I was making in relation to what I should have been earlier. Now I do. And then I also should talk too about the actual kidney function too, real quick, before I go full onto that part of it. So right before the surgery, my GFR was about 18, between I think 16 and 18. And after the surgery, my GFR, I'm going to talk a little bit more on creatinine here now, actually, because it's not quite black and white how this whole thing is. But right before surgery, I had a creatinine of 4.05, I believe, or right before. And then immediately afterwards, like the very next morning, my creatinine was down to 3.8, which, by the way, the lower number is better. Normal is like 1.2 and under. And the next morning was 3.88. And by the time of that video that you guys just saw, I was getting close to 1.88. 1.88 is what I left the hospital at. And that is extraordinary. Like I said, 1.2 and under is normal. So it's getting there. Within just a few days of this surgery, it's getting there. Now I realize now I've been neglecting my comment section here. So I am going to go back and take a moment and read that here real quick. Okay, so we're good on Facebook. And how we doing on the YouTube? And we're good on YouTube. Sweet. Okay. Just wanted to check, make sure I wasn't neglecting anybody in the comment section. But yeah, it was unbelievable. I wish I felt as good as my kidneys were working, but I didn't. And I still don't. But at the same time, and I do realize the time here too. So thank you guys for sticking with me. There's still quite a bit more here, but if I didn't unpack this whole thing in one shot, it'd be hard for me to pick it up next week. It would. But yeah, it was just incredible to see the transformation that I went through in just a few days with kidney function and all that. And I'm beyond overwhelmed and beyond amazed at it. Yeah, it's just incredible. But okay, so obviously when they first put it in that Foley catheter, they do it because your bladder is about the size of a walnut. They do not want that bladder expanding at all because they have to stitch that kidney basically directly into the bladder. And they kind of create a ureter, so to speak, if you will. If it expands, it could tear. And so they put the catheter in so there's no chance of any urinary buildup. And before I could leave the hospital without a catheter, I had to pee 3 times of a certain volume and have a certain volume or less of retention. Thankfully for everybody involved, I did. In fact, 2 of the scans, there wasn't anything left. I got rid of it all, so I was happy. Now, today, do I feel like I'm doing that? No, I kind of feel like I might be retaining some, but I mean, if you know the perspective, like a straight catheter versus a Foley catheter, I would rather straight cath. So if it means I need a straight cath a couple times, in a day, I would rather do that because it's all temporary. The hardest thing, and even at this point, was the bowel movements, trying to take a poop. And that's still hard. They gave me, okay, again, this is where it gets gross, folks, but this is a part of kidney thing. Like, I know people don't think about this, but if you are like me and you have IBS and you have major surgery and you're doing this kidney thing, whole thing, you're in for a real ride. Let me just tell you that right now. You're in for a real ride. So you come out and you don't realize it. Like, it takes a day or two. It's not like the cramps and all that just build up. But they start you on a medication, at least for me, called Senna. And you'll probably be on something similar. It's a stool softener. It just makes it easy because they don't want you bearing down. Because the same thing could happen. You could tear something and all that if you bear down too much when you try to go poop or pee. And so they don't want that. And even now I'm not supposed to bear down, but sometimes your body does whatever the heck your body's going to do because it's like, hey, something's here. I'm going to get it out. And you can't control it. And so you try your best. And those are the moments that I cry. I cry in the bathroom now. And because that is the worst part. That is probably that and waking up in the middle of the night with the cramps. But at the hospital, they gave me several days of that Senna stuff. And then when I still couldn't poop, they gave me a total of 2 suppositories. They gave me a whole bottle of magnesium citrate. And I had about 2 cups of Miralax. I should have gone. Nope. All I got out was gas. How that's possible, I don't know. But let me tell you, as you might imagine, it's really uncomfortable. That is the worst part. Like, the pain in your stomach wasn't even so bad as much as I just felt like I had a bowling ball. The doctor even said, like, yeah, we got to get that 10-pound baby out of you, don't we? Like, yeah, yes, we do. And honestly, I didn't get any major really relief because like Thursday and Friday was just all diarrhea. That's all it was. Once I got to go, it was just water coming out, your bunghole area. And then I apologize. I know this is gross, but if you're getting ready to go through this, if this helps, that's why I'm sharing. But Saturday was the day I got a solid one out, and yeah, I cried. Oh man, I was crying. I was sweaty and everything. I can't remember in recent memory having a bathroom session that was that painful. I literally thought everything inside of me was just going to tear itself apart. And yeah, I did take some pain meds after that. Oh man. But I'm telling you, last night was the best sleep I've had since the surgery. I didn't wake up with nearly as many cramps. and my stomach wasn't gurgling and bloated and all of that. And I'm hopeful that the next one that comes along like that won't be so bad. I know it probably will, but I'm hopeful that it will not. That's just kind of the synopsis of how that goes. The other thing that stinks, I still have a drain tube in, and what the drain tube is, I'd show you, but it's a little gross. Essentially, I have a tube coming out of the side of my abdomen, and it's connected to a bulb that looks a lot like a pressure cup pump. Like you kind of see at your doctor. So it's kind of elongated. It is clear, and it pumps. And the way this works is, so when they empty it, after it's emptied, they deflate it. So they squish it in like, like a ball, and then they put the cap in so that it maintains pressure, so that it's always maintaining like a sucking sort of pressure. What happened to me on Friday, one of the worst complications I've had, is all of a sudden on my right side, I felt something really wet. And what I had noticed is the fluid had soaked through not only the bandage, not only through the girdle, but it had soaked through my shirt, and it was dripping down the side of my leg. And you take it off, and because you have to change the bandage and all that, and it was so gross. It was the worst thing ever. And the instruction they gave to me, I was like, am I supposed to clean this? And they said, no, just change it, put the bandage on, and get it closed up. That's it. Don't do anything else with it. Just do that. And so the idea is that this is supposed to go down. And what I'm told is half the people will leave the hospital with one of these still in, half them get to have it out. The goal is to have 10 milliliters or less of this drain fluid a day before they remove it. Because obviously if they don't remove it, you could have a lot of fluid build up in your belly and even more problems and infection and things like that. That's why it's there. I get that. And it's not painful to have in. It's just really messy and completely gross. And it does have to be emptied. Right now, yesterday I was at 120 milliliters still, a week out of surgery, and I'm a little surprised it's not down significantly from that, like at least to 50. So I hope that's not going to be a problem coming into next week's appointment, but I'm sure it's something we're going to have to talk about, and I'm sure it probably has something to do with me and my bowel movements and bearing down and all of that. And hopefully I haven't torn anything. I don't feel like I have. I'm still going to the bathroom, urinating and all that, but I'm a little nervous about that, why it's not going down. And it is weird to see blood coming out of you and that be considered normal. And it's not all blood. It's sort of blood, a little bit of urine actually, because some of it leaks, they say, into the drain area. And then a little bit just like clear fluid, like pus fluid or whatever. And yeah, it's gross. And so like I said, that this is the part of the video gets gross, but you should know, like, this is a part of what you're going to deal with after a kidney transplant surgery. Sorry, just how it is. But hopefully we won't have any infections. Hopefully we don't have any other complications. Hopefully the medications do what they're supposed to. So now we're up to the point where I am at home, and I have been so happy to get to show you guys this next picture here. So here we go. Yeah, like the very afternoon I got home, I was so happy. Oh yeah, make sure you have a couple sizes to extra big for your sweatshirt and also sweatpants. It wasn't until today that I managed to be able to get jeans on, and you still have to have getting dressed and all that. But I'm grateful that I had a good pair of sweatpants on. Oddly enough, I look like my good friend Ben in this photo. I feel like I look like Ben. Sorry if he's watching right now and just realized this. Like, I look like you do sometimes, Ben. Not a bad way either. Just saying. Comparison here. Anyway, okay, moving on. So this next video is still gross. But I really wanted to show you guys as happy as all that kind of was up until that gross part, I wanted to share the darkest moment that I felt okay to videotape. And the hardest thing, and this was Friday night too. And this one's really important. This is kind of a longer video, but I was like, I need to document this so that people understand what it's really like, the after effects of kidney transplant surgery. At least in my case, and I don't know, not to scare people off from it, but just give them something that they can compare their experience to. And so that's kind of what this next video is here and why I made it. I felt it was important. Now, fair warning, this does have graphic imagery, nothing like gross. You're not seeing any of my bits that you shouldn't see as far as like, I don't know, private areas and stuff like that. But you will see the scars and you will see some fluid. FYI. Doesn't get any worse than that. And you do get to see the injection. So if you're not okay with needles, you might want to turn away for a bit. But I do feel like it's important to give a very raw perspective. Because if anybody who ever knows me, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you text me and ask me how I'm doing, yeah, I'll tell you all the good stuff that's going on too and how I'm grateful. But I will not just say, oh, it's going great. I'm fine. I'm recovering. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. All of it. Because don't ask me how I'm doing unless you're prepared to handle unless you're prepared to handle some of the not so nice parts of how I'm doing. So that's what this next part is here. So I would say enjoy, but I would hopefully also tell you, not really, but just I hope it opens your mind and your eyes. So even if you're not going through kidney stuff right now, I hope it opens up your mind to what really is going on here afterwards. So here we go. What's up, Facebook and YouTube? I gotta tell you that, after being at home for a day, this is probably the worst part about my day. Aside from being on the toilet, which absolutely sucks. It's not even a bladder thing. It's just constipation and then diarrhea, constipation and diarrhea. And my stomach's at war with itself all day. The pain is not terrible except for the cramps. But they feel like, like you have really bad stomach cramps, except, well, you get cramps all over all your sores. And not to get too graphic here, but I got some scars. So, first thing we got to do today is we got to do the injection. This is a blood thinner. And it's similar to, actually, what is this called? I have to remember myself.
Enoxaparin.
Enoxaparin. Basically heparin. Similar to it. And so I'll take that cloth back, that sterilized cloth, just so I can demonstrate. So we take a little sterilized cloth. Well, now we need another sterilized cloth. Oh.
Keep chatting.
Ha ha ha. So we're going to sterilize my area. It's similar to giving somebody, insulin shots, kind of. This one just has a...
insulin shot, I can go grab it.
No, I'm good. Although they told me I don't need to test my blood sugar, although in the hospital it was at one point 200.
Almost.
Right now I just feel an extreme anxiety. I know it's like 76 degrees in this house, but I'm wearing a jacket because I'm freezing.
I'm comfy.
Raven's comfy, but I'm freezing. I'll take my temperature here in a second, but I don't think I'm running a fever. I think I just got chills.
That's all after you've had your pills.
Oh my gosh. And there is a bunch of pills. Like, holy cow.
Alright, let's try this again.
Oh, I gotta love my wife. Our poor kid came home today, and he was just a handful. He's not used to all this. It's a huge adjustment to him to see daddy like this. I don't know.
Double duty is not easy.
Yeah. He was definitely acting out today.
doing so they don't see me. So I don't like being on camera.
So we gotta stay a little bit away from the incision points, which kind of like dodging a minefield. Did I just yank this off?
Yes.
Okay.
Little teeny tiny.
Little poker. Alright, let's do this before I hate myself even more. Right about here. Shall we?
Yep.
Done.
Alright, close her up.
Neat little trick. Push on it hard enough. That
Alright.
little cap comes out.
Put it in the sharps box.
And then
I think it's the other hole that you want.
that one hurt more than last night did.
Well, they said it'll burn after a little. I think, unless I'm thinking of a different one.
Okay, that didn't work.
Maybe it does go on the other one. There we go.
But there's that. At least I know I got it in.
Yeah.
I feel the burn. I was worried it was gonna bleed or something.
Now you gotta put yourself back together.
Oh yeah, we get this guy over here. This guy was causing me a problem yesterday. So this is a drain bulb, I guess, if you will. It comes from a tube. And this guy is coming out of over here. Very similar spot to where my PD catheter was.
We gotta change it.
Again.
Uh-huh. I'm noticing a little discoloration.
Alright. Well, let's get the meds in, and then we'll change it, I guess.
Okay.
Earlier it was kind of soaking through. Oh my goodness. All these have already been pre-planned out. But there's a lot. Oh my gosh.
I can't touch it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, actually one of these meds can actually soak into Raven's skin, and she should touch it with her bare hand. And cause fertility issues. I don't know if it'll make you completely sterile, but it certainly wouldn't be good. In fact, if I want to have kids with Raven again, these meds would have to be adjusted. So
Yeah.
there's just a bunch. So I'm only gonna do a few of these at a time because I don't want to choke.
Down the hatch. You're gonna do it in threes?
Yeah. They asked me, how many pills do you want, Odie? I said, all of them. I said, okay. So, we bought out the Walgreens. And there's one med I take that I gotta be really consistent with because it actually affects the level of the
Rejection.
anti-rejection med that I'm on. So we're gonna have to measure that next week. But I wanted you guys, even though I don't really like to have people see me in this light, I wanted to at least let people know that like this is the worst it's probably gonna get before hopefully it gets better. But I felt like this was important to show everybody like this is what it's like immediately after dealing with kidney transplant surgery. So we got all the pills in. I'm not gonna show this next part on camera because everybody does this, but I have to take my blood pressure. We're gonna have to change this bandage out
Again.
again, and then we're gonna have to take my temperature. So let's get to it, Raven. Thanks for watching, guys.
So obviously I want to make it very clear, if it isn't already, the comment about how many pills do I want, all of them, bought out the Walgreens pharmacy. That is humor. That is not seriously, obviously. But I feel like I should make that clear. And that was definitely intended, obviously, as a joke. But yeah, it was just, it was hard. Holy cow, that day was hard. Oh, even thinking about it makes me sweat almost. I don't even know if the video did it justice for how I was feeling. Like everything I did just in that moment just took so much extra effort, so much extra just willpower. All I really wanted to do is curl that blanket in that bed and just like curl up. It felt worse. Like, I don't know if it was the way my stomach felt. It wasn't necessarily nausea, but it was just really uncomfortable. And yeah, that was one thing I guess I didn't mention earlier is in the hospital, my blood sugar did get to like 195. And I was really worried, and they said that that's actually normal because of the steroids. And it had gone down to, I think, 116 by the time I left. So more normal. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. The nurse sent me home with some insulin just in case. But the other interesting fact that I can share with you guys is on regards to blood sugar, and that 30% of transplant patients do actually end up with diabetes. I was good because before the surgery I wasn't already predisposed to type 2 diabetes or anything like that. So hopefully my chances are less, but it is definitely a possibility that I could develop diabetes as the result of this surgery, by a 30% chance. So we'll have to keep an eye on it, just checking it. You know, they'll check my A1C and all that good stuff. So we'll see. So far I feel okay. But yeah, even today, like I still kind of feel chills sometimes. When I would lay down, my head feels like it's boiling, you know, like you feel the blood right there on the edge. And all that. So real quick here, because I do want to, I got about 10 minutes here that I think I'm willing to spend here. We'll make it a full hour-long video instead of 30. The next part I'm going to talk about is like all the precautions now that everybody around me has to take, include obviously myself. Technically for the next 30 days, I'm supposed to lay low, not go any place unessential. I went to church today, as I mentioned, because, well, to me, that's essential. I can't stay away from the family that has helped us out so much all the way up until this point. It's impossible. And so we went to church, but that's, other than church and blood work and all that, that's probably the only place I'll go. So yeah, it's hard because, you know, they wipe out basically a lot of your immune system. You know, I worry, am I going to get sick from a cold and not be able to fight it as well? There's all that. Then there's the way that food has to be prepped. I'm not supposed to eat deli meat anymore. So like chilled meat from a case, stuff like that. Leftovers have to be put into a Tupperware as soon as they're done cooking. Like if you're not going to eat them, and put them into the fridge right away to get them to cool down as fast as possible. And even then, you had to be a little bit more strict as far as the timeline that you're willing to eat or able to eat food after it's been cooked. There's all of that. I've asked, you know, my wife and son to wear masks for a few days at least, even in the house around me. I wear masks now when I'm out and about, which COVID times kind of seems normal, but it's not normal for me. I typically, if I don't need to wear a mask, I typically would not wear a mask. And that's just my viewpoint on it. I've discussed this whole thing in previous shows about how I feel about masks and stuff like that and mandates and all that. But in this case, given that it's not just COVID I got to be worried about, it's like every bacterial disease that's out there. I guess I'm a little more precautious. And so that's been going to be hard. And eventually I'll get some immune system back. Eventually the dosaging on the medications will change and all of that. I've got a bunch of antibiotic and antifungal type medications now that I'm taking. That's part of what you saw in that cup. So anyway, but yeah, that's basically what's going on here. And with the restrictions and all that, and I know it's been hard on Raven because she has to help out with extra stuff. You know, I know that she remembers when I was helping her out after her C-section, and you guys saw the scar, and oddly enough, that's not too far off from where her scar is, although hers went more like a bikini cut and mine went up and down. But you know, it feels about the same. I don't know, but she's like, yeah, you probably understand now how I feel, and like, yep. And so I know that this is all a part of marriage and sickness and health, but I do worry about, you know, Raven and how hard this has been on her. I know it's got to be tough on Junior because he doesn't really understand everything going on right now. And I know that's why he's acting out these past few days. Like, he's been just a little terror, frankly. He finds every little thing to get attention, you know, and last night he was pretending to cough to be sick. It was oddly enough because as soon as we're like, oh, go play with your toy, oddly enough, he stops coughing. And then this morning he doesn't cough at all. So, you know, he's trying to understand, I think. And for him, I'm not really sure. It's our first kid. So, not a behavioralist for kids or anything like that, but I got to believe it's just something that he's observing and trying to process and just his way of acting it out. But yeah, now to the last part about this video. I'm going to spend the last 10 minutes I got here with you guys talking about this. And actually, I just realized I've been talking for over an hour. Some reason I had in my head I started at 4:30. Oh, wow. I've been talking for a long time. Thank you guys for watching. I know it's a long time. I can't believe I'm talking this long. But I guess I'll wrap up here too. Maybe it's sooner than I thought, because I thought it. No, it's just 4:20. Somewhere in my mind, maybe I'm still a little loopy from the medications. But the last thing I really need to talk about is all the support, all the love that we have gotten. Again, as I stated in the beginning of this video, I don't understand why I was able to get 2 kidney offers in a week, and why I was only on the transplant list for, you know, less than a week. And I frankly asked the doctors, I'm like, why? I thought the average wait time is 12 to 18 months. And the only thing that they would really tell me is, well, our transplant list is short right now. I guess I don't buy it. I've never known a transplant list in this nation to be short. But if they're telling me the truth, and you're a kidney patient, and that's actually what's going on, I would encourage you to check out Iowa. Because there's only one in central Iowa, and that's Iowa Methodist, as you guys saw in the videos too. So it's not really any secret where I got my transplant at. I don't know. I know that they told me in the evaluation they're willing to accept kidneys that some other transplant clinics aren't. They're most notable for like a horseshoe for 2 people. I guess I just don't buy it. Even if the list is short, getting a kidney offer over the weekend, rejecting it, and then getting another offer 2 days later doesn't make any sense at all to me. I don't care how short the list is. It doesn't make sense. And I still don't understand it. And I guess I don't need to, because I know God had a hand in this. It was his will, it was his desire for me to have the kidney. I know that. I have to believe that. There's no other rhyme or reason. None. But then all of the people that have surrounded us this last week. I know there was a GoFundMe page put out there. I got to thank my friend Ben. for that, and for setting that up. I don't even know how much is in there. I think it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. But I'm thankful. If you donated to that, thank you. You know, I'll never be able to repay you. I know our church is helping us out to some extent with some of those things, and with food, all that. And all I can say is thank you. I'd rather do it myself and be able to provide and have had this thing out, but another member of our church told me the morning of the transplant, he said, sometimes, Odie, you just have to let go and learn to receive. Like, of course we all want to give. We want to give everything that we can. Sometimes God just tells us to just be still and receive. And just say thank you. I guess that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just receiving. But know that as soon as I'm recovered from this surgery, as soon as I'm able to bend over and touch my toes again or lift more than, 10 pounds, I'm going to start working. I'm going to get my butt out there. And in 3 months' time, I should be a different person than I was before the surgery, health-wise and spiritually. And that's my plan, is just first take it day by day, but start planning for all the different ways and looking for opportunities to give back more, especially to those who have already helped us. There isn't anything that I wouldn't do to help somebody. Especially if they were in the same situation as me. And I know, or at least I believe, that that's why God went ahead and blessed me with the second opportunity, because he knew that I wouldn't blow the support that we have, and I wouldn't blow this opportunity. It's the only thing I got. I'm grateful, and please be in prayer for the family who is grieving for their loved one right now. I was something else I was thinking about this week, and had a therapist at the hospital tell me, said, you couldn't have changed the course of that kid's life. The kid was going to die. There's nothing you could have done. So it doesn't serve you to feel guilty about it. I know. But that's just my heart talking. In my mind, I know. But I'm going to do it justice by being healthy and doing as much as I can to take care of myself. So, and I'm not gonna blow it. I'm not gonna let everybody down. And we continue to appreciate all the support that you guys have given us. I don't know how I'll ever repay it, but I will. I will find a way to repay, some way, shape, or form. Even if I don't have a lot, I will give a lot. Mark my words on that. And that's the truth. All right. I'm going to wrap this up now. Gonna double check Facebook and YouTube. Leave the last couple minutes here in case you guys have any questions in the comment section. Doesn't look like we have too many, so as I've been. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, nothing here on YouTube. So, all right, cool. All right, well, in that case, I will wrap everything up here. And again, thank you This week has been absolutely crazy. Just unbelievable. And hopefully through the videos and my testimony, you guys can get a good perspective of what it's been like to be me for this week. And hopefully it lifts you up. Hopefully it strengthens your faith. Hopefully if you're going through something similar, it lifts you up. That's about all I can give to you guys right now. It's just let God use this experience that I've had to lift you up and encourage you. That's about it. All I got. Heard something in church this morning, you know, our riches are not in this world. Our riches are with Christ. And a kidney, while not monetary and doesn't make you rich, but because it came from God, it was a gift. I certainly feel rich right now. And I certainly feel like I'll have a richer spiritual life now than I did before. And that I will be drawn closer to further appreciate the riches I'll have if and when it is my time to go. So, all right. Thank you guys so much. I look forward to seeing you guys next week again here for Between the Lines here. Like, subscribe, comment. We'll be back 4 o'clock Central next week for Between the Lines. Hopefully it will not be a half hour. Take care, guys, and God bless.